Okay, kind of messed that up, but, so we don't have 10,000. Profit as a function of x is a minus x over b, right? And a over b is 5,000. A over b, right? So that our profit function when x is 0 is going to be 5,000. Then the profit will be 0 when x equals a, right? Okay? So when x equals 10,000, that's going to be our horizontal axis intercept. There's our profit function. Our revenue function is x times the profit function, okay? So it's like, okay, x, okay, so here's P, and x will go from 0 to 10,000 as x goes from 0 to 10,000, obviously. So our profit function, when we get out to 5,000, will be up to 5,000. It'll go on up off the chart, okay? Now another thing that's really useful to be able to do, whether you develop this before the test or not, is to understand how to multiply two linear graphs, okay? Well, if x is 0, then you have x times p is 0 times 5,000, that's 0, right? So when this function is 0, the product is 0. So we're doing the revenue function now, that's x times p, okay? Also, when p is 0, the revenue is going to be 0. If you don't charge anything, you're not going to get any revenue. If you don't sell any, you're not going to get any revenue. So we have a point on the graph here. Now in between these points, it's going to first go up and then come back down. It's got to be continuous. It's got to get from here to here. And clearly, since you have positive values all the way from here to here, it's got to somehow go up and come down. And we could do more with that in detail. But we know if we multiply two linear functions, like an mx plus b times another mx plus b, different m's and b's, we're going to get something times x squared plus something times x plus something. It's going to be quadratic. We know then that the graph is going to be a parabola and that it's going to peak halfway between the two zeros. Now, bad risk. Okay, I didn't peak where I intended to, but you understand. Okay? By the symmetry of a parabola, it's going to peak halfway between the zeros. Okay? So you want to understand this about these functions so you can visualize them. Makes it easier to think through what you're doing. Okay? But the bottom line is this function is just this revenue function. Okay? For these numbers. And that the peak occurs, peak can't occur at 0. Something must be wrong with my value of x that maximizes the profit. Because it looks like this value is probably here. So I must have done something wrong in this, a sign or something. Either that or when I calculated these in my head, I messed up the calculation. Okay? So you can kind of correct that. If something's wrong, I don't get a profit of 0, I do get a positive profit. So maybe we're back in business. Okay? You can't get a negative profit with a positive function here and a positive function here. Okay? Okay, anyhow, then you subtract the cost, which is a linear function. And actually, that's where I got 0. I didn't get 0 for revenue, but apparently at this price, which is what, 5,000? The cost is equal to the revenue. So when I subtract off the cost function, that kills my profit, okay? Revenue function, price function, if I be calling this profit, I might have P, just, okay? So you can sort that out and sort out what all this means. If you look at the cost function, it's going to be D plus EX, which is 10 million plus E times 5,000, E being this, so it's going to be 10 million minus, no, 10 million plus 5 million, that still doesn't articulate with the 16 million. I'm not going to worry about the numbers. Okay, you can work those out. Okay? Get the idea? So you want to sort these things out so we can answer questions, and then especially questions about if you know the marginal profit function, because you got to integrate that to get a profit function, and then answer questions of this nature.